Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 2 for April 12th, 2017. My name is Russell Frost. I am one of your co-hosting team this evening. Luckily, you know what? We have a special all-Canadian show tonight. So just because I love Canada so much, and my co-host and our guest, and we have a special guest. Let me introduce them, and so we can get this show on the road. Co-hosting with me, as always, is Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Like I said, it's an all-Canadian theme, but anyone can listen in and watch. And I want to make that clear. It's okay. Anyone can watch. So,
is it?
Yeah, it's just fine.
It's not a hockey thing where, like, if you're not a Canadian...
Well, we are competing with the NHL playoffs, so there could be an issue there, too.
No, I'm sorry. There's no competition, sir. We are the thing to watch right now. And the reason we're the thing to watch tonight is we have a gentleman with us who has done some utterly fascinating project. Mr. Paul Carter is a Tesla owner, has been a Tesla owner for the last 3 years, and started a website called Model3Tracker.info. And on this site, he has collected the demographic information of more than 6,300 people who have Model 3 reservations. And we're going to get into the more details about that, but let me introduce him. Mr. Paul Carter. Hey, Paul, say hi.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Russell and Mark, for inviting me to join your show. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
This is painless. Well, relatively. It might hurt a little bit.
Can't wait to hear the question.
Yeah, just always say that at the beginning. Always say that at the beginning. But Mark, I'm going to turn over to you to start because I think you probably have some stuff prepped.
Yeah. Well, Paul, for people that don't know, maybe give us a brief synopsis of what your site is and what it does.
Sure. Can I share my little screen here?
Absolutely.
Yes, please. Paul's going to show us what he does. And by the way, you can witness the majesty of his Tesla hat, Tesla jacket, and yes, he has a Tesla coffee mug as well.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I was trying to show you the mug right now, but you're seeing my,
we see the screen.
Splash page.
Yes.
We'll see it later. It's okay.
So I built this website to crowdsource reservation data in the hopes of helping the community gain some insight on the Model 3. And in particular, we done this for the Model X, and we were able to see which configurations and mix caused deliveries either to be moved up or to be put back, like for part shortages, etc. And while we're waiting, we're gathering all of this reservation data. I'm analyzing the data to see if there's any interesting trends or information that I can share and provide some insight on what's going on as far as the reservation process. But as the design studio opens and people starts their ordering process, we'll open up more and more functionality of the site. So people can just go to Model3Tracker.info and register any email address on the site and then add in their reservation detail. When they get to the site here, there's a dashboard that gives you some little quick facts about what's going on in the tracker. And I think you just mentioned our last count was somewhere in the 6,000 range, and now we're over 9,000. And Ben of Teslanomics recently did an article, and that caused a huge influx of new contributions into the tracker. So we have 11,000 users and 9,000 reservation records.
Wow, so I was way wrong when I said 6,000.
Well, you were right about last week.
Fair enough.
There's been an explosion, yes.
There's been a little big blip in it. And following that, there's a little bit of status overview about the volumes in the past week, broken out by day, and you'll see month, quarter, year as well. And something new that I just added is I've been finding some trends now based on some recent news about the all-wheel drive will not be released immediately, instead the rear-wheel drive. So there was a trend of people coming back to the Tracker and changing their preference to say, actually, I'm going to go and get a rear-wheel drive. It's not a huge change, but it's enough that I can actually see a movement in the numbers. So I decided to show like how many people were doing that. And then every month I'll do some summary stats at the end of the month to say how many people think that they're going to get a very bare bones Model 3. I got Model X on the brain. As well as a fully loaded ludicrous vehicle. And bare bones and ludicrous are the two outliers in the data. The big chunk of people seem to want the maximum battery with all-wheel drive. So I call those the range lovers because, as you know, with the Tesla, an all-wheel drive will help you extend your range a little bit better.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, just joining us is Dr. Evan Fusco, our resident Tesla owner and Tesla. Dare I call you an expert, Evan?
Sure, I'll own that. How you guys doing today? Sorry to be late.
Good.
Trying to finish up dinner with the family.
That's the best excuse possible. Anyway, Paul was just explaining the information that he has on Model3Tracker.info, and it's amazing. Paul, I'm sorry. Please go on. Tell us more about what's going on in there.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, after you see the dashboard, you can click on Add a New Record, and you will get to a detail page in which you can enter your classification information, which is just a little bit of a demographic on where you reserved and how you reserved. And if you are an employee, an existing owner, or a first-time Tesla owner, and how you reserved, did you do it in the store, online, before the unveil, after the unveil, a regular reservation, etc. And then the next section that you can complete is I've guessed about 16 different configuration options. Tesla may package these up a little bit differently, but based on the Model S and the Model X, here are the 16 categories of options that are likely to come out when the design studio opens. So you'll see here a few samples like the battery. We're sort of guessing that maybe they'll have 2 to 3 sizes of battery. So we put just the base battery, medium battery, and the large battery. And as well, we have some pricing models that we've been playing around with that are available in US dollars and some other currencies as well. Like you'll see, I have a Canadian conversion here for my record.
Yeah.
Of course.
So after they enter in all their configuration information and save, we have a little pricing model that we're playing around with, and this is pure speculation and just guesstimates at this point. But we're also asking people to enter in their budget. So as you can see, I probably will get a fully loaded Model 3, and my budget is 115,000 Canadian fully loaded. And based on what I just configured, it's estimating 116,000.
Wow.
So yeah, the exchange rate in Canada burns.
Wow. I didn't realize Model 3s. I mean, now again, this is speculation, but I'm going to guess pretty well-informed speculation. The Model 3s would go up that expensive?
Well, I think the ludicrous and the performance version will probably get a little bit of a premium price. And the average is coming more like down to 45, 50,000. But the really top end, fully loaded with all the bells and whistles and every single option that is available, it could start getting up there. But again, we don't know yet. So it's just speculating.
Sure. No, your speculation is probably a lot better than mine.
Well, there's a few people that are helping me input it, and I've been seeing some other people's guesses as well. And based on Elon's tweet about the pricing options and that all-wheel drive is going to be less than it was on the Model S and X, some of the pricing options are about 30% cheaper than what they currently are on an existing Tesla.
Yeah, so it makes sense that you've done a bit of a discount on like Model S pricing type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like 70% of the paint option, for example, is what I'm predicting for the paint to cost on a Model 3 versus an S or X.
Okay.
So let me ask a dumb question if I can. Why? Why is it just because it's a budget, or it's certainly in a budget car, 35 grand starting, but I mean, why would Tesla necessarily discount the paint on the S versus, or on the 3 versus the S?
It's probably volume. So right now, the paint volume that they purchase from their suppliers, it's a low volume or medium volume vehicle. When you get to start buying mass produced parts or supplies, you start getting bigger and bigger discounts. And also, it's what predicted to be 70% of the size of a Model S. So it's actually less paint.
Less paint. Okay. Okay. Excellent explanations, Paul.
No problem. And then we have some fun reports and graphs available. So here's an example of the configuration popularity report that you can filter if you like. And it basically tells you what people are choosing. So as you can see over on the right here, the first little option is the battery. Currently 48% are opting for the larger battery, and only a third or less than a third are going after the base battery. And so we'll skip supercharging now because we know that that's probably going to be a per kilowatt or per minute charge. So everyone's going to have that active. And then next is the drive. So as I was saying earlier, the rear wheel drive versus all wheel drive. A few weeks ago, my all wheel drive was trending around 71, 72%. It's now dropped a couple of percentage points based on the fact that rear wheel drive is going to be produced first. So some people have come back and said, well, I want my Model 3 no matter what.
They want it sooner than later. Yes.
They want it sooner and later. So they came back and updated their preference, and new contributors are, I haven't totally gone into the stats in fine detail, but it seems like the trend is still there for the all-wheel drive. And I think that's because people want the range and the performance.
So here's another stupid comment, but I mean, generally speaking, rear-wheel drive's considered pretty sexy in ICE cars. You know, rear-wheel drive is
in a lot of places in the world, wheel-wheel drive is totally fine.
Yeah. But obviously, the performance aspects of all-wheel drive and the range extension is what's attracting people.
Yes.
That's interesting.
And then we have some fun leaderboard reports that you can do based on city, state, or country level. And it's kind of fun.
I'm sorry, this is the one that I find so amusing because of the city leader currently.
Yeah, so I think thanks to Model 3 Owners Club, it has a huge following in Toronto, and a lot of people there are contributing onto the tracker. And so there's been this constant rise in Toronto having the top number one.
It's a battle between Toronto and Los Angeles. They've been neck and neck forever. And,
yes,
and Toronto's now kind of pulling away a little bit.
I'm shocked that Nixon, Missouri isn't showing up higher on that list. There's probably a data entry issue, I would guess.
Because you filled out how many, Paul?
Just two. Two for Model 3.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun to see this, and then you can search for your own place using the little search feature right here, and you can type in your city to see if you're in the top 100. So each one of these leaderboards has a top 100 displayed, so you can do a little search and see how your city, state, or country fares. And we also have this little mapping to show you all the reserve dots. So once the design studio and assembly and ordering all opens up, these dots will change color. So you can actually see when the first dot goes green, we have our first delivery in the tracker, and it will go orange when it's ordered, sort of cyan color when it's in the design studio, but they haven't confirmed their order yet.
Very cool. So this is going to be an active board that will change as the membership that's connected to this sends you data that they've gone to the design studio, or they've confirmed their order, or they've received their order.
Correct. And if Tesla is consistent in the methodology in opening the design studio, so say for example, they announce that employees are now having the design studio open,
Yeah.
I'll update all the records and change those to Cyan for all the employees. So all the employees' dots will go to Cyan. And then once they open it up to say for West Coast or California for the first 3 months of reservation holders, for example, if there's any methodical way that I can actually flip the flags to open up the design studio, I'll flip them open so that people can see who's currently able to order.
And that's an interesting point you just brought up. Do you know that there are Tesla employees that are registered to your site?
Yeah, there's a few people who put their employee record in here, and actually on the next graph, there's a few in the sample set. I think there's 5 right here that show you down here in the lower left that they actually were able to reserve prior to the March 31st launch.
Ah.
3 here, and these 2 here are employees, but there's also employees all along here as well. But these ones here got valid dates that are pre-March 31st because they're employees.
Wow.
That is nice. That's really interesting that you've been able to certainly the date is a giveaway, but quite a spike of numbers. So you said you did this before with the Model X. So you had a run up to this. You knew what you were doing before you put this site together. You kind of followed that path. Is that what you did?
Yes, exactly. Basically cloned the Model X tracker and made it a Model 3 tracker.
Okay.
Is there any way? I mean, I don't know if in the group that you have, if it's large enough, but this goes back. Well, actually, so what we're seeing here is a really consistent pattern of pre-orders. If I'm looking at this graph right.
Actually, this morning I decided to produce this graph because I saw a trend happening in the past 4 weeks. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should graph this and see if there actually is something interesting going on all of a sudden, because I saw the moving average of the number of people who reserved per week has slowly starting to grow. So as you can see in the graph here on the official unveil, the spike of reservations in my tracker, of course, the majority of people have reserved in the first week. And then in the following weeks, it sort of started falling off rapidly. And then it stabilized for a very, very long time. It's been very, very stable. We get occasional spikes here and there, but if I trend line that, it was pretty flat. But after February, there was slowly something interesting going on. This trend here has started to appear, but it's just slowly climbing again.
That could be associated with the more and more news that's coming out about the Model 3, the leaks, the pictures, and people are getting excited and ordering.
I agree. I mean, I think it's really looking like they're going to start delivering this year, and I think that's probably, there's a lot of people that are holding back or have held back.
Yeah, that's perhaps very true, but I'm actually just really surprised to see that trend all of a sudden happen. But you're right. It could be just based on the recent news, and the Model 3 publicity has been quite out there in the past little while, and definitely now seeing some release candidates out in the wild. Perhaps got some people to go, oh wow, I want one. I'm going to reserve.
Crazy.
It's funny because on our Twitter feed, which is at the Tesla Life, we've had a number of people that comment back to us about they're sitting on the fence and they haven't ordered yet, but they're about to. So there's a group of people out there that haven't got involved for whatever reason, maybe didn't know, or as Russell had mentioned, maybe they didn't think it was going to come to production as it was laid out. Maybe they thought there was going to be delays, but there are now a number of people that are rethinking that, obviously.
Yeah, and I also think that there's probably another big segment of people that will want to sit in the car, test drive the car, before they're willing to put a deposit on a car.
True. Yeah.
Another thing that I hear locally from friends, especially again in the metropolis of Nixa, is they want service available. They want it. They're uncomfortable with dealing with a $500 charge to have a ranger take their vehicle up to Kansas City or St. Louis, and they want to know that if they do have an issue, albeit they're fairly rare that they're serious, that they can get it fixed locally and not have to deal with a long range trip to get service.
And Tesla was saying a little earlier that they were going to try to open up more service centers and then announce the mobile service. So I'm wondering if that's going to help alleviate some people's concern if they were told that, oh, we have a mobile service that's available to you.
Right.
Now, with the mobile service, how would it differentiate from the Ranger service? Because I understand that is the Ranger service still available, Evan?
Yes, it's still available, but you can't buy like unlimited. So when I got my Model S in 2012, I was able to purchase an unlimited Ranger service for the first 80,000 miles or 5 years or something. I don't even remember anymore because it's a moot point. But but you can't get that anymore. And so like, even with warranty service, my wife's Model X, we needed some warranty service, and they wanted me to pay $500 to come take the vehicle up to do warranty service on it. And there was really no other option. They're charging $3 per mile. So yeah, that's kind of a pain in the rear if it's not even your fault that there's something wrong.
Yeah, so I would speculate that Tesla will start opening up mobile services in certain areas in which there are a lot of reservation holders or a lot of orders. And they'll deploy it that way until they can get a full service center open, or even if they need one. If the Tesla vehicle holds up and the amount of service needed is not largely required like your typical ICE vehicle, then perhaps this mobile service will actually work.
I think the other option I've heard bantied about a bit is that they would consider partnering with a local service shop. For instance, we've got a place called Rick's Automotive, which is probably the biggest private auto shop down here, and where Tesla would rent a bay, like on a recurring basis from Rick's, and keep their equipment there in that bay, and then have a range or have a mechanic down 3 days a week. And they would work on the vehicles 3 days a week initially for these lower volume areas until it grew enough that they needed someone full time or could build their own establishment. And so I think there are a lot of potential options out there, but there's still a lot of people waiting for those options to come to fruition before they're really ready to fully commit to buying a Tesla.
Interesting.
That's reasonable, actually. I've got a couple of questions from the chat room, if you don't mind. 01010, one of our regular listener viewers, wanted me to ask you when you think the first non-Tesla employee will get a Model 3.
Asking me?
You have some data. That's
I have a lot of data, but based on the Model S and the Model X rollout, I would say don't set your expectations high. Do not plan any life events or lease trade-ins or expiries to any chance on getting a Model 3 until it actually happens and Tesla says your 3 is ready.
Right.
That's all I can say.
So by saying non-Tesla employees, I think you also need to lump into that VIPs and your Steve Jurgetsons and Wozniaks and those kinds of folks, because there's always those initial handful that come out on that big televised reveal event, and some of those will not be officially Tesla employees, but maybe investors, contributors, longtime buddies of Elon's. I think the real question is when do you see mass production? And I think Paul's right to that, and it's going to be a little bit, we talked about this before, that Tesla sort of has to do this one right. They're not dealing with the early adopter population anymore exclusively. They've got a little bit of buffer because it's going to be previous owners and employees that are going to buy those first 2,000 or so that they roll off the line. But after that, they've got to get it right. people aren't going to be as patient with all the quirks and all the common breakdowns and things. So I think they're going to have to ramp pretty quickly and speculate on a day. I don't know, maybe November.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not a bad guess, I guess.
Yeah.
I would personally.
I'm marking that
I
down,
think
Evan. I'm
end of
marking
year.
that down.
A non-employee, non-VIP, non-prior owner. Maybe somebody will get one in November, December.
Danny Cooper. So the follow-ups is this: do you have any? Do you want to take a guess of how many Model 3s you think will be shipped this year?
Oh, not a lot.
Not a
would
lot.
be my
Okay.
guess. Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe end of November, December if we're lucky, and the initial volume after the employees start getting theirs. It might ramp up fast, but then again, as if history repeats itself, it might be a slow ramp.
It's
Right.
not going to repeat.
Let's hope
This
not.
time will be different. The last time he beat me, he promised he wouldn't beat me again.
Exactly.
I think they said that the last time with the X, right?
But I believe him
And
this
that
time.
was the
Paul.
worst beating of all on the X, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's different.
So the final question from the chat room was again from Zero, our friend Zero, and he wonders if you have any idea how many deliveries will the full $7,500 federal incentive apply to, which really goes back to how many of those Tesla has left and Model S's. I mean, that seems like a really complicated question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very complex and all depending on when the deliveries start rolling.
Right.
Is
And
it
how
when the
fast they
delivery-
ramp up.
How fast do they ramp?
Yeah,
When,
and how
when
fast they
what
ramp.
exactly what dates all these numbers hit? You know, if they can drag it out an extra, half a year, you get an extra half a year of the full incentive. But
Right.
I
Well,
get my
and again,
reservation
Model
in
S
now for sure.
Yeah, Model S and X apply to that as well, and they're still pumping those out.
Yeah. So it's a moving target. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a really complicated moving target. So, that's all. That's all. I'm going to step back to Evan. Mark, anything else? I have lots of questions, but
Well, Paul, I just updated. I didn't even realize you had all that information there. So I just updated my 2 reservations with more data. So I don't know if I've skewed
nice.
your numbers much.
You skewed the results. Way to go.
Yeah,
Evan.
Hang on, I have to go back to
go back and recompile. Oh my God, why is Nixon, Missouri the #1 city?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go reserve 98 more.
Yeah,
We're gonna
it's
bump us
overtaking
up.
Toronto all of a sudden. Yes.
So
I have a couple.
Yeah.
I have a
please.
couple of volunteers that help me go through the data, and we'll log a ticket to the contributor asking them to fix something if we see something off. But it's actually been a little hard to keep up lately. But we try to cleanse the data once a week and make sure that there's nothing odd going on. But most people, from the most part, from what I can see, are coming in and entering in their information. Haven't really found any oddness going on with the contributors. So it's been wonderful that the community is contributing so well to it. So thank you everyone for helping it.
It's
Yeah,
really
that's
cool
very
data.
cool.
I'm sorry I was late and missed the beginning, but that's fascinating data.
And Paul, you mentioned at the beginning about the number of people that are connected to this. Did you indicate that there are some that haven't logged anything? They're just have access to look at the data, or is everyone that's on there have a reservation?
No, I think there's a bunch of lurkers. I think it was 1,500 the last time I just looked. I can't
Okay.
remember, but
So
yeah.
I hadn't logged any of that data that you put in there before just now.
So you were
I
a
did.
lurker. So you're no longer a lurker, you're a contributor.
Well, again, I didn't know that was an option. So when I made my reservations,
okay.
I found the tracker and I entered my data as my reservation dates and that. But I don't know. Did you have all those options there before at the beginning?
No.
So
I think
I
some
didn't
of
get
them were
notified.
added.
or I deleted your email, or you went to spam or something. But nonetheless, I've now updated all that. So
Awesome. Thank you.
So if you're in there, like Evan, but you haven't updated the data, visit model3tracker.info and update it, because we'll all enjoy a better data picture.
Yeah,
a fair
and you
message?
can see how people are coming back and updating their data. It's been very interesting. Every time that there's an article published, it creates, I'd say, 70% of our volume is new, but yet 30% of our volume are people coming back and updating.
Right.
So
right.
this today, 67 people have come back and updated their information. About 500 this week, 1,200 this month, and almost 1,700 in the last quarter came back and updated it. So there's quite a bit of active users, and in my help desk system, I can see what people are what page people are on if they're having trouble. And I've noticed that we have a lot of people that are coming back once a week, and we have some people that have been on the site. I think it says that this is their 800th visit to the site. I'm like,
wow.
What are you doing?
Wow. Yeah, and I see, and I don't think I've been back since I first logged the information in there. And like I said, I don't remember getting emails or anything.
What I really like is your chart or your graph of a pie chart of countries. I thought that was pretty cool, where you could just bring up a graphic and it would show the total reservation holders broken up by country of origin. And I take it you're grabbing that right now.
I was going to see if I could actually share that. Yes.
Okay. So it's a pie chart and allows you to hover over the points on it and gives you a total as you're hovering over the countries of origin.
So right now we have 62% from the United States, 10% from Canada, 4% from Germany, 3.3% from the United Kingdom, Norway, Sweden, Spain, Switzerland. And you can also see this in number format in one of my other reports. So if you go to leaderboard and look at the country level, you can see that United States is number 1. So the top 10 countries are listed here.
Interesting. Do you have something like that for cities by chance?
Yes. So it's done on the city level, the state level.
This whole show could be just me requesting different graphs. Okay, because I'm fascinated by this. It's amazing.
Well, once you start looking at it, you'll find that you come back and back just to see where things are changing. And as Paul mentioned, as he gets a little more media here and there, the numbers get they keep going up. So it's kind of interesting to come back every week or so to see what's going on with the totals.
And for the past few reporting months, everything has been really, really, really stable. It's only in the past few weeks now that I've actually started seeing some interesting trends happening. So my monthly status reports, you will see that I'll say how much percentage points it went up or down compared to the last report. And I've been reporting on several forums out there that the stats have been stable. And this month's report for April will say the stats have shown some change, and here's what they are.
Wow. Okay, I have to ask the silly question then. So is there anything weird? Are there any anomalies? Is there anything bizarre that you see that you've tracked over the history of this site? Or anything that any just odd stuff that sticks out that seems counterintuitive?
No, I guess maybe the only thing is the bare bones. I was expecting, because Tesla produces premium electric vehicles, I thought a lot of people would try to stretch to get a base Model 3. So I guess my gut instinct is I'm surprised that there's not a lot of more bare bones in my tracker. So I think that that's the only big surprise for me. But maybe people don't realize what the pricing is going to be yet, and so they might desire to have more options. And then once the pricing gets released, we'll probably see a lot of people strip down some of the options and go towards more bare bones.
Yeah, it's really easy to click those buttons when it's not
when it's play money. Yeah.
It's Monopoly money when you're playing on there.
No one's asking for your credit card, so it's very easy to check those buttons.
This option only increases your payment by $3 per month. That's the favorite car dealer line. I mean, this is only $6 a month. How can you say no to this?
Yeah,
Because it's $25,000.
Yeah, that numbers game certainly will come into play. You'll see that in the leasing numbers right now on the Design Studio. How much per month that adds to your leasing option. So Model 3 will likely not be any different, and people will go, "Oh yeah, that's only $10 a month. Fine."
Yeah, that's actually it would be an interesting option there. Who lease versus purchase for Model 3? What people are thinking now.
Oh, what people are thinking?
Uh-oh.
That could be a new survey question.
I like that. You want to lease or buy? I like
And
that.
why?
Because in
why?
hindsight, I kind of wish I'd leased my Model S because at this point I'd have upgraded to something with autopilot and all-wheel drive and stuff like that. But obviously there's no way. I mean, it's financially crazy for me to sell now.
Yeah,
but if I had a 3-year lease, man, I'd have been licking my chops for
waiting for that 3 years to fall
man.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm on the number 3, and I'm like, oh, I should have leased the last 2.
So I'm sorry, Paul, just to be clear, now you leased the first 2?
No, I bought a 2014 60, then I bought a 2015 Model S P90D, and now I just took delivery of a 2017 Model X P100D.
Oh, you are so hooked on that drug right there, man.
Yeah.
There's no going back. You need therapy, brother.
And coming from Dr.
Hey,
Paul,
I'm coming
I
from
wanna take
Volkswagen Jetta.
Nice.
I would never spend this much money on a car before, and yet I bought 3.
Your story is mine. I came from a Prius, 2004 Prius.
you only own the Model X currently?
Correct. Yeah. Traded them all in.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Upgrade.
Now, Paul, a question for you about the recent tweets that have come from Elon. He seems to be kind of pushing back how do you say it, the expectation level of the new car. He seems to be, there's been mention about low amount of options. There's been mention that it's not the next evolution of Tesla. This is just more of a mass-produced car. What's your spin on what you've been hearing lately over the news waves?
I think it kind of makes sense. They're trying to make a cheaper Tesla, right? So you have to let the technology still go into their Model S and Model X line, and it'll slowly go down into the 3. But when it's out of the gate, that's kind of what I'm curious about. I'm like, is it going to be at the level that the S and X are now, today, or last year? Or is there going to be some stuff that's going to come out in the S and X prior to the Model 3 actually being produced, and you're actually going to get a little more technology than what we see today? So my guess is that probably what we have for Autopilot Hardware 2 will surely be on the 3. But anything new, maybe we'll see it in the S and X first.
Because I was interested about his one comment about the actual not having as many options, and I'm wondering, how you look at the options that are available in an S and an X now. It's not like there's a ton of options. There's certainly a lot, but if you start looking at what you could take away to make it more sparse, it's interesting as to what you could actually take away before you start thinking that, gee, that's not going to work too well for me. But I don't know. Evan, do you have any spin on what has been said recently?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's just, you know, he's kept remarkably mute about what's really going to happen here. You know, spilling those little bits when he's on his plane trips, but I don't know. I'm not sure where they're going to go with the tech stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it's a waiting game, and we'll all see hopefully soon, maybe by June, as some are guessing. So it'll be interesting to see when the books start to open on this.
2 months.
It's a fascinating question because you look at like the Apple model of selling computers has always been the computer costs around this much, and the new ones you get new features, you get new technology, but they don't necessarily go up in price every year. Whereas the car model has been a slow eking up a price and a slower growing of features. Is that fair description of the way it usually works?
With Tesla?
No, with car companies.
with the industry in
car
general,
companies,
yeah.
With Tesla, we don't know because it's all new ground. I mean, you know, first we have the Roadster, then we have Model S, then we have X. I mean, it's not even like any kind of linear progression. It's like, now Model 3, the cheap one, the entry-level one, the crowd pleaser that most companies might guess would start with. But because of the way
economics were and how the company needed to be built, it was required.
Sense.
Yeah,
right. I'm definitely not criticizing the way they've rolled out their models. What I'm saying though is, it'll be interesting to see, what features and how, because obviously as soon as Model 3 is available, that's going to impact Model S sales. At some point.
Maybe a little bit, but I think they're in two different classes. Mm-hmm. And like I was saying earlier, I thought a lot of people might even have to stretch to go to a Model 3. And the Model S right now is probably way out of their reach.
Yeah, but it's interesting with your cost tracker, even with your particular scenario, the car you spec'd out with absolutely everything, or close to it, you're well into Model S territory at that price point. Would you not?
On a stripped down one, it's half of what I paid for my Model S and my X.
Yeah, and so that's been a lot of my thought though, and actually maybe why I disagree a little with Paul, that I think Model 3 may impact some Model S sales, at least early on. Obviously it's going to find its own level at some point, but for me, like say what I paid for my basically bare bones Model S, I can get a fully loaded, ludicrous Model 3. I don't need as big a car as the Model S. In fact, I'd kind of enjoy having something a little bit smaller and sportier feeling, and at the same price point, assuming your numbers hold.
Right. But it's two totally different kind of cars, though.
Right, absolutely.
But I see that some people will fall into that category.
But I've got kids graduating, going to college that I don't need the space for anymore, and
and your use case can change over time, and now you want a smaller car.
Yeah,
that's why I'm totally entranced by this site of yours, Paul. It's neat. It's fascinating to see how this is going to develop, and sadly, I mean, your site brings up as many questions as it answers, which is good.
That's what data does, right?
Yes, it does.
Fun.
Yeah, I know this, but now I need to know this, and this. The people in the chat room, by the way, are totally psyched. They like the all the data that you're showing, and they're discussing now what features is it going to have. The door handles? Will it have folding mirrors? And who knows? Elon hasn't shared any of that information.
Well, I think
until.
I think I saw a few out on the road. The pictures are starting to leak on them testing. So I think what you see is what you get. So if you saw some fancy door handles on those latest snapshots of pictures, I think that's what you should expect.
You're probably going to get them, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, because they're not building these. Apparently, they're not building these release candidates by hand. They're having the machinery do it. Therefore, you think you're pretty close to what production is going to be.
Yeah, it'll be pretty hard to switch right now.
Right. Well, and you know, again, they're still on the point of, and this is a thing we've talked about and what drives us innumerable times about Prius is what is it that makes a Prius in the different models that they've rolled out. And I've had some big problems with some of the other Prius models, or at least one in particular. So what is it that makes a Tesla Tesla? Does it have to have panels? Does it have to have this? Does it have to, you know, what features can Elon put in and what features can he leave out? Possibly to make some money on it and still make people happy. I don't think that's been defined yet, and that's to his advantage.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to really come out with something bare bones or close to it, and then after the fanfare has started to die down some, he's going to start adding these features to the car.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it as quickly as that he has done it for the S and the X, though. But who knows? The way that Tesla's doing their manufacturing process is quite impressive. So they might be able to introduce things faster than your typical automotive manufacturer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see like an analog radio with knobs and just because it'd be weird, you know, like this is a Tesla. Click, click, FM, AM. You know.
Is Sparkomatic still making radios for cars?
If not, he should buy the name. It's getting to be that time. Any final? I gotta check the chat room. Any final questions, gentlemen?
I guess what's been your favorite part about doing this, Paul? What have you liked the most? What have you gotten out of this by performing this service?
I initially wanted to do something to kind of tune up some of my web skills, but right now I'm finding that other people are exporting the data and doing some analysis like Ben at Teslanomics, and coming up with interesting insights and sharing that with the community. And that's sort of why I wanted to build it. I wanted to build something for the community to have and to use. And so it's been a wonderful experience to see it grow.
Excellent. Excellent.
I can't even imagine what it's like to be behind this thing. I mean, I would just sit and fiddle with it all day long, like, you know, changing the curves and stuff.
Like his penis.
Oh, there. Jeez.
Sorry.
I had to go 48 minutes into the show and you had to go there?
I made it 48 minutes. You should be proud of me.
Good point. Good point. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at it the right way.
Oh, jeez.
Excellent. Excellent. You held back for almost 50 minutes. Cheers.
It's a new record.
Yeah. Paul, anything you want to, any other thing that we haven't touched on that we should talk about?
No, I think that that's wonderful. And again, thanks to the community and you guys as well for putting on the show and having me on. This has been awesome.
I want to ask you right now, at some point in the future, we need to have you back on to talk about how this is developed. Maybe, I don't know, 60 days or something, a couple of months, 3 months, just to see what's changed since the last time you were on. I hope you're available.
I'll be around. Yeah,
Awesome.
and I think the most exciting time is going to be once that design studio opens and we see VIN assignments, what options those VIN assignments have compared to ones that are not getting VINs, and then who's actually gone into production versus not, and
Right.
seeing what type of Model 3 you actually need to order to get yours sooner. That's going to be so much fun to see.
And if there are any geographic trends, even though they claim there won't be, and that's going to be pretty. You're going to have to quit your day job.
Definitely. Well, keep me talk to Mark or I and keep us appraised of what's going on, because we would love to have you back on again to talk about all that stuff as the situation develops.
Thank you very
That's our show for this week. Let's do some shout outs and go home, gentlemen. Let's start with our special guest, Paul. Tell us about your site or about anything you want to plug and go from there.
Hi, everyone. Just please try to contribute your reservation to model3tracker.info and help the community gain further insight into this most anticipated car of all time, perhaps.
I like that. I like that. Dr. Fusco.
I got nothing. Thanks for having me on.
Right. Thanks for
Great.
coming on and talking about my penis.
Yeah, well, someone has to.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. So. Thank you.
I drew the short straw this week.
Oh, another one.
This is payback for the United Airlines thread. I can tell. I don't know what's going on
That's
here.
yet to come.
Yeah, that's the next hour. That's fine. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. Mr. Coughlin.
Just a note to
Class it
everyone:
up somehow.
if you want to follow what's going on, please grab our Twitter feed, connect to us at the Tesla Life, or our Facebook page, the Tesla Life with the numeral 1, Tesla Life, the Tesla Life 1 on Facebook. So we'll see you there.
Awesome. And that leaves me almost nothing to say other than to thank Paul once again. Model 3 info or model3tracker.info. If you have a reservation, go to his site, register, put some information in there, and check out the amazing site that he's built as a resource. It's incredible. Paul, thank you for coming on. Evan, thank you for interrupting your dinner or bringing it short. Even though, again, you had to talk about my genitals, that's fine. Mark, thank you for missing the hockey game. Has that started yet?
It's on. Yep.
Yeah, I've got one on too. We're playing. I don't know who we're playing. Washington or
Who's
something.
we?
The Blues.
It's like he's on the team. Yeah.
Blues. I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm an archaeologist. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
I've paid them money. I own part of that team.
I just want to say once again, thanks to Paul and thanks to our panelists. We'll see you next week as we explore more about the Tesla Life.